How was your liberation process, and how did you eventually get home and survive those days?
When the Russian army finally caught up with where we were near Hamburg, that particular unit, they came into the camp. First we saw the guard tower empty, and we realized something happened. The guards were gone, and we waited to see if that was for real. And then a couple of days later, some Russian soldiers arrived, and they took a look at us, and they left. And we never saw them again. And so we were left there without any medical help, any transportation, any food. We were left in very desperate conditions. Some of the women drifted out into the nearest town and found their abandoned homes because the German civilian population fled when the Russian army approached. And so there were a lot of empty homes, and some of us would just leave the camp and get into an empty house and just wait a few days, rest up. You know, there was nothing to eat. There was nothing, you know, no medical supply or anything. We found a hospital in the town, and some of us entered the hospital just to rest.
It took some time for Irene and her fellow survivors to trust that they had, in fact, been liberated, that they were to go free. Every freedom had been taken from them in the world that they had come from, even the freedom to have a family and to be a child.
From my immediate family of 8, only Serena, my older sister, and I survived. All 13 of my young cousins perished along with their mothers. When I saw children in the town after the war, I stopped and stared at them. I had not seen children in almost a year and a half. Children were condemned to death in the world I had just come from.
After the liberation, how did you get your life back to essentially normal?
After a few days, we would say, well, we have to get moving towards home. And we would actually walk on the highway and hitchhike and things like that. And it took us months to get to where we finally ended up in Prague, Czechoslovakia. We were not going to go back to our homes because we never wanted to go back to the place where people hated us and threw us out. And so what to do next, where to go? And so we stayed in this place for a couple of years, trying to reestablish our identity. We had no identification papers or birth certificates, and anything else. Identification papers had to be reconstructed through witnesses. And then we applied to come to this country, and that wasn't simple. There was a quota on how many they allowed in. The bigger problems set in after we were liberated, and yes, you survived, and yes, you look around and everybody is dead, and you have no place to go, and your position in the world has changed enormously. You're not, you know, it's very complicated, especially for people older than me. You know, how to pick up the pieces and where to begin, and you leave your continent. Everybody wanted to leave Europe, and the problems are not over, and you suddenly have new problems. You can't even deal with the old traumas because now you have to, new languages, new jobs, you have no money, you have no status. Whoever you were before, you're an immigrant, you don't, you know, all kinds of difficulties.